What's going on, everybody? We're back with a kind of a bonus podcast here.
Deleted scenes.
Nope. This is all brand new stuff.
Undeleted scenes.
Nope.
Never deleted scenes.
The scene that's happening as we speak. So we're here with a little bonus pod, we'll call it. After episode 1, we talked about what the miserable company is. If you haven't listened to that, I suggest you go back and listen to that so you get a really good foundation for who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. As for this little bonus podcast here, we kind of wanted to give you a heads up on what you can actually expect from the podcast, kind of a how to listen, how to enjoy, how to partake of.
Turn it on.
Yep.
And listen.
That's it. We'll see you guys next time. So as far as we know, this is what we plan on doing with this podcast. I kind of look at it, first of all, the informational content that is us sitting at this table and Phil, some combination of the four of us. I imagine us doing, based off the books that we're working on now, wealth content, health content, and what I like to call self, which will be like the general leadership type stuff. So we'll have podcasts say, kind of looking deeper into the mindset of millionaires and billionaires, and that would be the wealth category, and then so on and so forth. So I see those three things popping up frequently when I think about what we're going to do. Some other things being interviews. We may get an awesome guest. And we've talked about this too, that our interviews are probably going to be a little bit different, even to the point of it not really being an interview. More so just inviting someone in on one of our conversations.
Right.
So we've talked about with some of the people that we know and work with that we're like, man, this topic, they would have great input on this. So let's just have them sit down. And we're not necessarily going to ask them questions. We're just going to begin the conversation, and they can kind of organically join in and give their thoughts and wisdom. What else are we going to be doing with this podcast?
Whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Whatever makes sense, whatever we discover, and whatever has to change. Even if like what we've said already in the last 5 minutes ends up not working, it might evolve.
Yeah. So. I think we're going to be talking about a lot of things that I think everyday people think about. Because we're everyday people ourselves. So I think that this is going to be a podcast where, if someone is dealing with anything involving those kind of overarching categories that you just mentioned, that we're going to be able to dive in and, hopefully it'll be something that'll be beneficial to those, who are listening.
Right. And the plan, I think, is to organize the podcast and the titles specifically in such a way that if there's content that just does not apply to somebody or relate to somebody, that they can kind of pick a la carte, say, that they can kind of go down the line. And if it says health in big bold letters, they can like hit that. And if it says wealth, and again, we're not going to be doing these topics under the guise of we are the authorities and the proper people to be taking advice from on all of these things. We just really have a great opportunity with some people that we know and some things that we've done that we have access to. Some really cool information and some really cool people that can maybe change somebody's mind about some topics or give them some beneficial things to push them in the right direction, including us.
Yeah.
So I think that's mainly what people can look forward to, though. The health, wealth, and self type podcast where we discuss other people and information that we've gleaned from from books and research and studies. And then we'll have the interview / guest co-hosts that will be inputting their knowledge and their wisdom into conversations that we would be having anyway. And I think the reason it's like, okay, why would you do that? I just want to make a real effort of not getting the same answers out of people over and over again. You ever followed somebody
Yeah.
and like you look at interviews and it's the same things over and over again. I just watched an interview recently with Liverpool's manager, Jurgen Klopp, and the guy who did the interview was fantastic. It was just like a young guy YouTube channel. And it literally was because I've watched hours of footage of this guy. And he was the first person to get him to say things that I had never heard. And what was really cool is one reason I really enjoyed it is because he was genuinely enjoying making the video with this guy that Jurgen Klopp was. And I saw that and I was like, man, that's what I want our podcast to be. It's not these guys sitting down answering questions because you're basically telling them what to say at that point.
Yeah.
And then they regurgitate the same answers that they've given in every other interview. So what I'd really like to do is just have people sit down and just naturally just speak what comes to mind and direct the conversation for us. So that's why we make such an effort to say that way. And then, I think another good thing for people is to just expect anything and expect nothing.
Expect a lot and expect to be disappointed.
Right.
That's accurate, though.
So I just think we were talking off mic about our first recording, and basically what we said was like, if we're enjoying talking about it, let's just assume that people will enjoy us talking about it, and just talk about things we're passionate about, topics we're passionate about, and go at it.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
And I think that's all we can commit to because we really want to just know what other people want.
Yeah.
So follow us on social media at The Miserable CO, The Miserable Co, and at miserable.media if you'd like. Follow us on Facebook. Hit us up. Let us know some things you'd like to hear, and then that will apply to this bonus pod as well. That it?
Say bonus pod, and then you say bonus podcast.
Because we talked about Star Wars the first time, every time I say bonus pod,
You think of pod racers or something
I'm
like that?
automatically thinking Star Wars.
I like the sound of that, though. The bonus pod. I don't know why, but I do.
Do you feel like we're inside of something when we're doing the bonus pod?
No, but I just like the sound of it.
No.
Yeah. So that's how you listen to this podcast.
Preferably with headphones.
Miserable.